What would you do if you discovered that the car you thought you knew was just the tip of the iceberg? What if your greatest rival's true potential had been purposely hidden for months? Because that's exactly what just happened with Ferrari and the SF26. And now the rest of the grid is in a panic. The Ferrari SF26 has been revealed as one of the most sophisticated and strategically covert developments of the modern era of Formula One. What seemed like a simple evolution on paper has turned out to be a covert revolution, carefully orchestrated by Frédéric Vasseur and his technical team in Maranello. And the most disturbing thing for the rest of the teams is not only what the car does, but what Ferrari decided to keep quiet about for months. From its initial presentation, Ferrari deliberately played the game. At first glance, the SF26 looked conservative, but Lewis Hamilton's first laps during the collective tests in Barcelona broke that illusion immediately. The minimal corrections to the steering wheel, even in low grip conditions, caught the attention of rival engineers who quickly became suspicious. Something was not right. This car did not behave like a conventional car. The first big clue as to what Ferrari had been hiding came with the leak of a new active aerodynamic system. But here's the key difference. This is neither a traditional moving wing, nor a simple evolved DRS system. Ferrari developed a phased adaptive bodywork approach, which redistributes downforce in real time depending on the phase of the circuit. When braking, for example, the car adjusts the load towards the front axle. In the traction phase, is redistributed to the rear axle. This principle is directly integrated with the new hybrid train from 2026, allowing the car to reconfigure itself autonomously throughout a lap. This is not just innovation, is to redefine the very concept of dynamic balance of an F1 car. At a structural level, the SF26 is not far behind. Ferrari has opted for an ultra-compact chassis with a wheelbase visibly shorter than the average on the grid. This, coupled with a front suspension architecture with reactive geometry, allows the car to be incredibly agile in slow and medium corners without compromising high-speed stability. Hamilton, a driver who has historically suffered when the rear axle loses stability in fast sections, has found in the SF26 a platform that responds with surgical precision to each steering input. And there is still more. Ferrari has also implemented an extremely aggressive use of ultralight materials, seeking to reduce sprung mass without penalizing structural rigidity. These changes not only allow for a more immediate response to changes in direction, but also improve the car's thermal efficiency, allowing the tires to work within their optimal window for longer. This has resulted in long runs with minimal degradation, even in critical conditions. Hamilton has been instrumental in revealing the true potential of the SF26. Despite being in his first season with the Scuderia, his ability to adapt quickly to the car and give detailed feedback has helped expose what Vasseur had been keeping quiet for months. During testing, the Brit was able to replicate consistent race paces with such a low level of tire degradation that it surprised even his own engineers. Internally, Ferrari always knew what it had on its hands. Although they publicly spoke of prudence and exploration, in the factory the simulation data was clear. If a correct correlation was achieved between wind tunnel, simulator, and track, the SF26 could be the car with the greatest margin of adjustment in the team's recent history. Hence, so many of its solutions were shielded, such as the suspension philosophy, the complete aerodynamic package, and the integration of the new ERS, until the Barcelona tests. That act of strategic containment by Ferrari was not a mistake, it was intentional. And now, the teams are facing a harsh reality. For months, they have been developing cars to compete against a fictional version of the SF26. The true rival has just shown itself, and it has done so without needing a victory, just showing what he's capable of in real racing conditions. The technical revelation of the SF26 was a silent but devastating earthquake. In a matter of days, the atmosphere in the paddock changed completely. The confident look that many engineers had when arriving at the collective tests turned into concern, and in some cases, panic. What Ferrari had shown and what Hamilton had shown forced McLaren, Red Bull, and Mercedes to face an uncomfortable question. What if they are already behind before they even start? Frédéric Vasseur had dropped it in interviews since early 2025, but many interpreted it as a conservative speech. He spoke of starting from scratch on each topic, of taking risks in everything, and that each component had to be redesigned with our mind set on the future. But only now is the true significance of those words understood. While most teams chose to adapt what worked from a previous cycle, Ferrari risked breaking its own model. Chassis, suspension, hybrid unit, aerodynamic philosophy, everything was redesigned with a single objective: to be the first team to successfully interpret the total integration between active aerodynamics and electrical energy required by the 2026 regulation. The most impressive thing about this vision is that Ferrari has been able to put a new era car on the track before anyone else, and not in a symbolic or conceptual way, but in an operational and competitive way. The SF26 is already operating as a car designed for 2026, but it is doing so a year earlier under transitional regulations. And in practice, that changes the game for everyone. This has profound implications. At a strategic level, the other teams are forced to rethink their entire development line. Any wind tunnel or CFD plans for the 2026 versions of McLaren, Red Bull, or Mercedes must now be compared against a real car that has already demonstrated operational stability, energy efficiency, and setup adaptability across different tracks. And in F1, a year of conceptual advantage is practically unattainable without drastic decisions. For many, this is the true reset of the hybrid era. Ferrari has understood something fundamental. With the new rules, the car can no longer be designed in parts. Active aerodynamics are of no use if they are not aligned with the delivery of electrical power. Tire thermal management cannot be optimized if the chassis does not distribute dynamic loads well. And all these elements must work as an interdependent system. That is what the SF26 has achieved: complete systemic integration. A car that is not divided into isolated solutions, but responds as an optimized organism. That is why Ferrari's advantage is not only technical, but philosophical. They have managed to break the barrier that limits many teams: design fragmentation. Red Bull, for example, continues to develop its aerodynamic package as a separate block from the ERS. Mercedes still struggles with correlation problems between simulation and real behavior of the rear axle. McLaren has a great car, but its setup margin is less than that of the Ferrari, as seen in its need to operate within specific thermal windows to perform at its best. This change will also have direct consequences on the way development will be handled within factories. Teams unwilling to reorganize their internal processes, break down silos between departments, and create cross-functional workflows will simply be left behind. Ferrari already did it. From Maranello, they have initiated a collaborative design model where vehicle dynamics, aero, simulation, and ERS engineers work from very early stages as a single team. And there is something else that makes the SF26 a game changer: its ability to adapt. One of Ferrari's classic weaknesses over the last few decades has been its lack of flexibility. Their cars were fast but fragile to changes. They suffered with the wind, with the compounds, with the track temperature. The SF26 is the first to break that trend. It is a car that can change its behavior depending on the phase of a curve, depending on the degradation of the tire, depending on the driving style. That versatility makes it not only competitive, but resilient. And in Formula One, resilience is what separates champions from those who only aspire to be one. Therefore, regardless of what the results of the first races say, what Ferrari has done with the SF26 is not a simple preseason surprise. It's a warning. They have understood the heart of the new regulation before anyone else. They have designed not only a fast car, but a technical ecosystem prepared for the next generation of Formula One. And that understanding could translate into years of dominance if the rest do not respond in time. Ferrari has not only regained prominence, he has dictated the tone of the 2026 season before it officially begins. The appearance of the SF26 has forced the entire grid to stop thinking about the immediate and begin to look beyond to the technical horizon that defines the future of Formula One. What until a few weeks ago was only a theoretical promise of the 2026 regulations, total integration between electrical energy and adaptive aerodynamics, has been reflected on the track for the first time, with real, measurable, and terrifying results for the competition. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.